Donna Summer has been gone for almost a decade, you know. Does it seem like that should have been a thing for you either, you know, any more than it was George Michael?
Yeah, no, time goes by so quick.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, when icons like her pass away, it seems weird. And the funny thing is, she passed away of lung cancer because she was in New York during 9/11 and supposedly inhaled a lot of toxins during that point, and nobody knew much about it. But she had a comeback album around then called Crayons, which I have, and it didn't really do anything, unfortunately, and I think her death kind of got swept up in a lot of that. But you actually have a lot of Donna Summer. I think I actually got you some recently.
Yes, you did.
Now, you know, she's the queen of disco, and what made her amazing, especially her work with Giorgio Moroder, who's a person we mutually admire.
Yeah.
Big guy. He's recently been, you know, idolatrized by Daft Punk, who worked with him on their Random Access Memories album in 2013. But he actually produced whole subgenres of disco as a music genre. You know, it used to be a dancing thing. You know, even before Saturday Night Fever, he actually had Donna Summer as kind of, literally, like I said, a disco royalty in terms of being the siren of these conceptual productions. And one of the final albums they actually did was this one, and one of their big successes, too, together. Bad Girls, that was a big hit for her. And this also had Hot Stuff on it, too.
Yes, it did.
And as you can see, you know, again, they were kind of theatrically conceiving all these things. I believe at the time she was involved with Paul Jabara and Brooklyn Dreams, right? I think they had hit together.
I think so, yeah.
Yep. And there's also a song on here called Sunset People, too, which I really love, you know.
And that was the B-side to either Hot Stuff or Bad Girls, because I have the 45 somewhere.
And there's also Walk Away, which is another big success for Donna Summer. So this was...
And Dim All the Lights.
So, like I said, you know, people who talk about disco sucks, okay, listen to this album, and want to know if you think it actually sucks. I mean, this is a grand conceptual thing. So, you know, Donna Summer was right up there, and this was a big deal for her. That was 79. Now, by this point, we're going to go into the future. This is 84. She had a cover of a Drifter song on here, There Goes My Baby. But Donna Summer was sort of on the decline, and there was, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but there was an interesting reason why they had to do with her gay audience. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what happened.
No.
In 1983-ish, I don't know what year it was, a couple of gay magazines misquoted her as making homophobic comments having to do with Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and something about AIDS being punishment for sins or whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But the fact is, Donna Summer had a huge gay following and a huge gay album sale base that disappeared at that point. And she claimed that was never said, that she admired her gay audience. And you know what? Donna Summer, being as sincere as she was, I'm going to go with her word. I'm just going to go with her word on that. But I think her sale suffered around this time for it. But this is a good album. Again, kind of her trying to go with what was going on at the time. You know, things were changing. But, okay, this is a very famous album because it had, obviously, a new song on it called On the Radio. I think this came out around 1980-ish, around the time of Bad Girls, if I remember.
79.
79. So, and this is not the original edition, is it?
No.
Yeah, this is...
It doesn't gatefold.
The original has a gatefold and a poster, and I've got that, but these are two albums put together. You've seen the Casablanca label. And this album kind of runs conceptually, too. You know, all her hits put together. You know, and kind of, you know, well-mixed thing.
And one of the interesting things was she always pretty much put 12-inch versions of her songs on the album.
Yes, that was the important thing. They were always either the album or the 12-inch versions. Now, this is from an album called The Journey, the very best of Donna Summer. You just got this recently, didn't you?
Yep. We got this at one of the shops that we go to.
I think that came out...
The 12-inch version of I Feel Love, 12-inch version of Hot Stuff, 12-inch version of This Time I Know How It's For Real, and a 12-inch club version of You're So Beautiful. And so this was a promo-only album release that's not out onto the general public. I'm not sure if these are the versions that you get on the album or not, but they're special 12-inch versions of the songs.
So yeah, this was this came from that collection usually up there. I think there was a new song on that, and I think this has it. So yeah. Now we talk about I Feel Love. that brings us to this particular album. Now, you were talking about I Feel Love a lot recently, and some of your observations on it.
It was one of those songs that at that period of time that there was just nothing like it. There was nothing that was even similar to it.
Yeah, 77, you had Kraftwerk and Trans-Europe Express, but they were kind of art house things at that time.
It didn't have what that had.
But this...
Giorgio just...
This song got on the radio. It was a huge hit. And as far as being a hit in 77, this was beyond cutting edge. I mean, it was beyond cutting edge.
He knew what he was doing.
It was the beginning of kind of electro Euro disco, I guess you could say. And this, I remember yesterday, starts out with almost a swingy big band song, the title cut, and goes through girl group. And I Feel Love was part of that concept. It was the music of the future, because it was a concept album about popular music in America and its history. And to end the album like that was just an amazing feat. From 1977. Now this album was sort of a comeback in a way for her from 82. This is a Quincy Jones production, the only one she ever did. It starts out with Love is in Control, which I recently learned was an outtake from Thriller, Michael Jackson. And there was also State of Independence, which is sort of a reggae-ish electronic song on this album. It's one of my favorite Donna Summer albums, to be honest. Very, very Thriller-like, very, very Quest-sounding. I think it's on Quest, isn't it? Because I know there's a picture of her with Quincy in it. Yep, it's on Geffen. Well, it's Geffen with Quincy Jones producing a song on Quest, but if you can turn it around, there's a picture of her with Quincy on the top. There you go. And they only did that one album together, so which is too bad because that was a great collaboration for her, but she wasn't done yet. This is her major breakthrough. Now, I think, we're all familiar with that long version of the song with all her breathing and how controversial it was. And actually, this isn't her first album. I'm sorry. Her first album is called Lady of the Night, and it's rare and kind of difficult to get. One of my favorite songs on here, though, is Need a Man Blues. The first Love You Baby take up the whole first side, if I remember. Interestingly enough, this is not on the original Casablanca. This is on Oasis.
The Oasis label.
Casablanca Oasis.
And I Love to Love You Baby takes the whole first side.
Right, and that's the version with all the bedroom sounds. I know YouTube isn't exactly that censored, but that got Donna Summer's attention, to the attention of people for sure with that album. But it's a great album. I mean, Donna Summer and Barbra Streisand, No More Tears, Enough is Enough. This is a kind of a 12-inch extended single, one of the disco single from that time. It actually is from On the Radio. If you look at the back, it has On the Radio stuff, and it's on the Casablanca.
I believe it was from the movie. What was the movie? It was a Paul Newman movie, I thought, about a fighter. The Main Event was the name of the movie.
There you go. Casablanca label. I don't know if there's anything on the back of it.
It is actually a blank side on the other side.
It's an uncut vinyl, one-sided single. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common thing to find in used record stores, sometimes even in dollar bins. So, this is another one I got for Scott. Another one of those conceptual disco records, Once Upon a Time from 1977. This is a classic image we all see of Donna Summer a lot, and there's a gatefold. Basically, it's about Donna Summer's journey to success if you listen to it, And it's a double album, like Bad Girls. Basically, this was after I Feel Love, and the whole album is like if I Feel Love was a record. The whole album basically plays like I Feel Love as an album concept. So, this is Donna Summer going into the future on this album. So, this was, again, from her prime period. Now, there's an album that goes with this that's actually really good. This was her 83 album. She Works Hard for the Money, but this is the single for that.
12-inch single for it.
So, and there's the album. Hopefully we can find a copy of that, because that's a great album, but there's a special long version, instrumental. Also,
this is an import from England.
Yeah, so, because it's got that, doesn't it have that shiny cover?
Yes.
Yeah, it has that shiny, because English imports
shiny
often...
cover, and it has a totally different feel to it.
Yeah, it has it's not luster, it's different. It's got that kind of pinkish...
Mercury label.
Kind of calico to it. Okay, The Wanderer. This is interesting. When I first heard this album, Giorgio Moroder's still involved with her on this, but this had a different sound completely. This had people like Billy Idol playing on it. This is more of a rocky thing. This was kind of a transitional album for her. She was on a new label. She was on Geffen. And, you know, disco was over. And she made this really heavy new wave album. Very guitar, keyboardy. You know, and it's a different vibe to her than other records. Did pretty well. She was Donna Summer. They kept her around, but this is you know, if you listen to this, it might be a bit of a shock. It's not your usual Donna Summer kind of album.
No, I remember the first time I heard the title track, and I was like, wow, that's just not what I'm used to from Donna Summer.
Yeah, because she was basically doing like new wave rockabilly stuff there, so there was a different kind of thing. This is another hit compilation, Walk Away. I think it came out after on the radio.
Yes.
And I don't know if you do single versions or what, but as a lot of her albums tended to have, like you said, 12-inch editions.
Looks like most everything is a single version.
Yeah, so this would be people who wanted the singles, I guess. And, you know, if you wanted the 12-inch versions, you would go out and get the on-the-radio album, which is a double. If you're just looking for the hits. But, interestingly enough, Donna Summer was basically an album artist. She had concepts on her records. And, like on Once Upon a Time especially, there were a lot of narrations. So, you know, she kind of put disco as an album-oriented medium because of the length and the elaborate concepts she and Giorgio Moroder came up with. So, I mean, there'll be probably more Donna Summer to come in this case, but because she had some other albums, especially during the 70s. And
there's a lot of 12-inch singles that I'm mixing.
There's tons of 12-inch singles, too, so yeah. This is probably Donna Summer Mark 1, but even still there's a lot to deal with. So, anyway, to all of you out there, as usual, enjoy your music. Peace.